Hello and welcome to today's video, and where I tell you the story of Nightbearer's latest record, Defiance. So as you might know, I play in a band called Nightbearer, and we released a record a week ago. It's called Defiance. And before we start the actual content, if you wanna hear Defiance or purchase it, I will leave a couple of links in the description below, and I would be enormously grateful if you would check it out. So with the record out a week, I thought, well, I could actually do a video about it because there's some cool stuff some people might want to know. And with cool stuff, I mean extremely nerdy stuff. And with some people, I mean maybe one, maybe two, I don't know. But here we go. First of all, let's start with the production. Before recording, we did full demos of the songs, and this time for the first time ever with vocals. The songs had MIDI drums, the guitars were almost final, both rhythms and leads, solos not so much, maybe 80 to 90%, vocals as well, and the demos had around 50 to 60% of all the synth and post-effects stuff. So with those demos, I started recording for the actual record. And as I did with almost every previous record, I started with guitars. First of all, rhythm guitars, and after that I do lead guitars, and then I do solo guitars. This time I think I tracked song-wise. So I tracked all the rhythm guitars for a song and then all the lead guitars, and then I moved to another song. The solos I did last, so all rhythms, all leads, then the solos. And after that I did the clean guitars, and then I did the bass. With the guitars done, and for the first time, we continued with vocals. So Micha came over into my basement and we tracked all the vocals. And here we did also a song by song bass, and well, did all the main vocals, and then we did all the different layers, which there aren't so many this time. On Ghosts of a Darkness to Come, there were quite some more. We also explored different ideas for vocal effects, and whenever we thought something would really fit, we dialed in the sound and then we committed to it. After that, Manu did the drum recording. Therefore, he got some stems from me, so he could give himself a mix that he needs. He got a vocal stem, a guitar stem, rhythm guitar, lead guitar stem, and a bass stem. And he also got the MIDI drums, both as MIDI and as an audio mix down. So he made himself the mix he wanted, and then he recorded. For the first time ever, he did so alone in his own studio. The last two times I was with him and gave him basically feedback directly. But this time he did it all by himself. Then he uploaded a rough playthrough and we could give our feedback, and then he committed to it and edited it. Well, and then I had all the tracks. Of course, I had the guitars already edited, the bass, the vocals, etc. I did the reamping, and then I mixed. And during mixing, I added additional synthes and additional orchestral elements, additional post effects. I don't think I added additional guitars. No, I did not. And well, yeah, then I mastered. And that's how Defiance was made. So let's continue with the gear that was being used on Defiance. And we of course start with the guitars. For basically 90% of the rhythm guitars, I used my Ionis Cetius custom 7-string. It's a baritone with 27-inch, and we do have DiMarzio deactivator pickups here. As for strings, I used Labella 9264. Yes. The Cetius was also used for all the lead guitars, all the solo guitars, and all the clean guitars that were played by an electrical guitar. For the other parts that were mostly overdubs, I used my Black Cat custom Leon. It's basically kind of the same construction, bolt-on, 27-inch. We have bare knuckle cold sweet pickups in it. The only difference is that this guitar is tuned to drop F sharp, and when I wanted lower tunings, lower than drop A, I used the Leon. For the acoustic parts, I used my Furch Durango C40? D40. And I have installed a K&K Pure Mini pickup, and I also used two condenser microphones. So I basically had 3 tracks of this guitar, and I used it for the middle part for Ascension, for instance. For dust, I used my classical guitar that is made by Antonio Garcia Lopez. I have no idea. I have it for well over 20 years. It's actually my last student's guitar. It sounds beautiful, and well, why change it? This guitar doesn't have any pickups, so it was just the guitar into 2 condenser microphones. They were from Octava. For the bass, I used my trusty Sandberg, and as you might see, the high G string is missing, and fun fact here, while I strung it for tracking, the G string snapped, and I basically just said, well, okay, I guess, I don't care. And then I looked over the tabs and the arrangements, and I found out you don't need a high string. So the Nightbearer record Defiance is totally playable on a 4-string bass when it's tuned to B. And since I told you we totally nerd out about this, I will tell you what picks I used. I used 3 different picks, all from Gravity guitar picks. Gravity is my go-to company when I record guitar, and I used actually 4 different. When I played huge chords, when the guitar was ringing really long or slow parts, I used this one. It's Gravity Sunrise XL, and it's 6 millimeters thick. For the fast tremolo parts, I used this one. It's a classic, and it's 0.6 millimeter thick. So a really thin pick. For everything in between, I used this one. It's a Stealth standard pick. It's 3 millimeters. And for bass guitar, I used the Gravity Classic XL in 2 millimeters. So amp-wise, let's start with bass. For bass, I almost always work in the box. However, this time there was an analog track. The Sandberg went into the Lichtlärm Ritual or Ritual, and this is basically a Proco Red on steroids. And this went into my PRS MT15 in the clean channel. For the rhythm guitars, this time I just used 1 amp. On all rhythm guitars that are panned left and right, I used my PV VTM 60, and then I used 2 different chainsaw tones. For one side, I used as my main chainsaw the AIB Custom Death, and this went into the Lone Wolf Audio 6 Hammer EQ. The other chain was my Void Manufacturing Blend Killer. It's my, well, one-off custom pedal. Joe built it especially for me, and this went into the this red little box. It's a Tube Screamer Rish pedal that was heavily modded by AIB Custom and just sounds awesome in all applications. So there are just 2 guitars on the side, but occasionally I added a center guitar, and for the center guitar I always used the Lichtlärm Prometheus. And based on the song, I used a variation of different pedals and different sounds. So I had basically 2 boost pedals. I used either the Boss Super Overdrive SD1 or the Rutaberg Decrepit when I wanted really gnarly HM2 sound. And then I either used the preamp of the Prometheus, or I used one of this Heavy Earth preamps, either the Fleshrod or the Slaughter. And sometimes I wanted to have another EQ, then I had the Lichtlärm and the Spyglass in the loop and I activated it or deactivated it. To be honest, I can't tell you on which songs I opted for which sound. It was just, this song needs this sound, well, let's check it. Yes, this combination, and there you go. For lead guitars, I used the Prometheus as well. It was boosted by the Lichtlärm King in yellow, and I also had 3 other pedals in front of the amp. This was a T-Rex Tremonti Phaser, a KMA Kyrus, and a Cataline Bred Echo Rack. In the FX loop, I had the Void Manufacturing The Void, and I used it for reverb. So this time, for the first time ever, I actually tracked lead guitars wet. And I basically activated the Kyrus, the Echo Rack, and the, well, Phaser or the Void whenever I felt it was needed. For my solo guitar sound, I also used the Prometheus. And in front of the Prometheus were 2 pedals. It was the Burning Spirit into the central scrutinizer. And in the FX loop, there was the retrowave delay and then the upside down, all from Lone Wolf Audio / Void Manufacturing. And solo guitars were also tracked wet. I forgot to mention, in the rhythm guitars, I occasionally activated a Lichtlärm key and gate noise gate, just to make editing a bit easier. From all the amps, I went into my Zur reactive load box, and in my DAW I loaded an IR loader, and I used for all guitars blends of the D-Night Audio Holy Grail Producers Pack. I can't tell you which exact combination I used, but those IRs I used, and I still think they sound phenomenal. And if you want to explore them, I have a nice code for you in the description as well. So the last 2 things are fairly easy. For vocals, Micha used an SM7B because he likes to run around and no other mic can handle his recording habits, let's put it this way. For synth, I basically used a lot of Spitfire audio, a couple different plugins, couple different VST instruments, and I also used the East Western Choir. And for post-effects, I used lots of Ghost Hack samples and even some Joey Sturgis ones. So that's about the nerd stuff. And I realized that this video will be quite long, so I will split it into 2 parts. And in the next part, I will briefly talk about every song on the record, how it was developed, what are some funny or interesting stories behind the song. And yeah, so keep watching. Keep looking for the next video. Best way to do would be to subscribe, actually. Well, the best way would be to become a member, but I can understand if you just want to subscribe. However, becoming a member would be really helpful as well. So, with this being said, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. May the power protect you and have a nice day.